Here with us this beautiful spring Sunday morning. It is true. The sun is shining here in Chicago. It's supposed to be 60 degrees. It will allow us to enjoy a little of that warmth. For those of you joining us live streaming, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone, just take a nice deep breath, close your eyes, get grounded into yourself, into that idea of spring, of summer warmth, and the warmth of where you are today, where I am. God is where I stand. God is standing strong where I breathe. God is breathing life in and out and through me. And me where I sing, God is where I dance. Joy lifts my feet where I live. Beauty's flowing free in and out and through me. As me where I doubt, God is the faith in me. And where I cry, God is the comfort there. Oh, and where I seek, God is the answer. Here and now, forever and ever and ever. Where I speak, truth is. And where I work, love is my career. And where I play, God is playing boldly in and out and through me. As me and as you, as you. God is, God is, God is. All right, everyone. I know you just sat down, but why don't you stand up real quick? Just move your body. If you feel like clapping, you can clap. If you don't have to. I'm a stranger in a strange land. Somehow I feel connection to the sand. We all look like family. Yeah. We share the same blood and we share the same needs. We are people of the sun. We come from different places, but there's love in our faces. We dance to the same beats. If we learn to live each other, our lives will be free. The world is a family now. sister, you and me.
Now.
Let's give each other what we need. Come on. We need more love, more love, more love, more love. To fish into different seas. They swim the same water, but they share enemies. We live in two different countries. We speak in different tongues, but there's love in our faces. Every man in every domain. That's right, come on. Born with the same blood, running in blue veins. We all share the same spirit. There's love in our voices, and we know that we hear it. Come on, the world is a family now. Brothers, sisters, you and me now. Let's give each other what we need now. We need more love, more love, more love, more love. The world is a family. Yes. Brother, sister, you and me. That's right. Let's give each other what we need. We need more love, more love, more love, more love. Come on, from Asia to Africa. That's right. To India. To home. From keep singing, Greg. So when we clap, everybody, we generate energy. Every time you make that rhythm in your body, you slap a vibration into yourself to wake yourself up, to make yourself feel rhythm, to make yourself feel the walk of life in every step in which you do, from Asia to Africa to India to Cuba to home, to the west side, to the east side, to the north side, to the south side of Chicago, to Africa, to India. We create community in the rhythm of the clap. To Africa, to India, to home. Break it down. To Asia, to Africa, to India, to home. Hold up, to home from Asia. Yes, feel it in your bones. I feel it in your bones. To home.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Tiffany and Greg. Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. Hello, Cityside. How are you? I'm John Adams. I am hosting today. I am on the board of Cityside, and I'm also a spiritual practitioner for the community, along with so many others of us. If you're here for the first time, we especially want to welcome you. Welcome, live streamers. I'm glad that you're all here today. At Cityside, we are about, I'm reading the script on my phone. I'm not like reading text messages, just so you know. At Cityside, we are about practical spirituality that you can use to create the life that you want. We embrace new thought and wisdom paths and are affiliated with Centers for Spiritual Living. We honor all paths and we practice oneness, this idea that we are one with this power for good that is within, this power for good, this unconditional love, this thing that I call God. We are one with God, we are one with each other. What we're really about is providing a supportive community where you can explore your own spiritual path and connect to the spirit and the wisdom within you. Today, we have one of our own, I was going to say practitioners, but she's actually our minister, Reverend Judy, is holding vigil today. She is holding this space so that we can have a more transformative experience, creating a container with her consciousness. So we can lean into that today. So I always like doing this part of the morning ritual, which is to say our mission and vision aloud, because we anchor things with our words. And I just want to invite you to hold this vision and this mission in consciousness. Help us hold it by articulating it, saying it out loud. It can be found on your flyer. So together with me, we say, we envision an empowered community that is living in a world of unconditional love in action. Our mission is to create safe spaces to explore and deepen our faith, grow in spiritual relationship, and connect with our authentic nature. And we love that word connect, don't we? I mean, it just feels so good to always come together and reconnect and connect. We are a social media friendly church, which means that we encourage you and support you in hashtagging us all over the place in whatever mode that you use, whatever channel that you use. We encourage you to let people know where you are and what kind of experience you're having. So if you see people on their phone, I will say a couple of things. One is that they may be checking in on social media, which is absolutely fine, so don't give them the stink eye. They may be also, as I do, I think others do, take notes when we're hearing something that inspires us. So just know that for our friends and the friends around you. The theme for March is Inner Wholeness, the healing power in you. Reverend Aimee, our own Reverend Aimee, will be speaking today on the consciousness that heals. The consciousness that heals is something for me that has become just a truism in knowing that I am always whole, perfect, and complete. And sometimes the clouds roll in just like the weather, and it doesn't seem like it, but my wholeness never changes. I'm never actually ever different from that complete and whole truth. And so these practices that we do, including spiritual practice and, for me, allopathic, energy work, whatever modality you want to plug into, or all of those modalities, just reveals this truth and reveals this consciousness. And that's how it shows up for me. So we now come to the part where we meet and greet each other. And in recognition of the coronavirus, we're not hugging and kissing and being all affectionate like we usually do. I know. Aww. I will say that we've been really responsible about wiping surfaces and really doing our due diligence. I have never felt more disinfected. But I just encourage you to elbow or however you want to meet and greet and just check in with each other and just say, how is love showing up in your life this week?
All right. Is this on? Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, it's going to be right up like this. Okay. Everybody settled into their seats pretty fast. But so my name is Gordon Dickinson. I am a licensed spiritual practitioner with Cityside, and I am up here for the first time. So I'm feeling, woo! That's good. So I'm feeling uncomfortable. I just want to acknowledge that, just because standing in front of rooms just does that for me. So I just want you to know I'm really happy to be here. I'm really happy to be with you, and I know that we're going to do what's perfect coming up. And I'm going to start with a reading that definitely relates to the theme of the month and to what Aimee's going to talk about. It's from Joel Goldsmith, the book called The Art of Spiritual Healing. And here it is. Until you can realize that there is nothing to battle because there is only one power, you will be carrying a chip on your shoulders, everlastingly fighting people, sin, disease, false appetite, lonesomeness, and poverty. One condition after another will arise in your experience as long as you are fighting and resisting. But when you understand God as one power, you become convinced that there is nothing to oppose him. The only way this can be proved when the appearance of sin, disease, death, lack, or limitation touches you, whether in your own experience or in that of your friends or relatives, is to sit in an inner stillness and realize that God is infinite. Wait in quietness and in peace until an inner assurance comes. There are no gods besides me, no other powers, nothing for you to fear. Thou art my beloved child. To do spiritual healing, it is necessary to be able to look any form of sin or disease in the face with complete confidence. Neither do I fear thee, nor will I battle thee. Why should I fear what mortal man can do to me? Why should I fear what mortal things or persons or conditions can do to me, if God himself is the only law, presence, power, cause, substance, and reality? I will stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. I invite you to turn within, to find a space of stillness, and for the next 3 minutes or so, next few minutes, just contemplate the healing power within you. invite you to come back into this room while remaining anchored in the experience of healing and wholeness while I speak a blessing over this service. Right here and right now, I recognize that there is one power and presence that I call God that is the source of love, wisdom, abundance, wholeness, joy, and peace. I know that I am one with this source, that love, wholeness, peace, and joy live in, as, and through me. I know that everyone in this room and everyone participating in this service online is one with the source of love, wholeness, peace, and joy that lives in, as, and through all of us. I know that we are all one. And from this place of oneness, I bless our gathering today. I bless Cityside and the space of love, healing, and wholeness this community creates. I bless all the hearts and hands that have come together today to create this space and facilitate this service. I bless Reverend Aimee, knowing she is divinely appointed to share her message of wholeness and healing today. I bless everyone participating in this service, knowing that we share the gifts we receive from this community with our broader communities in Chicago and beyond. I bless it all and call it good. And so it is.
Thank you, Gordon. The feature song today is one of my favorites, from one of my favorite artists, Mr. Donny Hathaway. So as I sing this, drink these lyrics into your soul. Hang on to the world as it spins around. Just don't let that spin get you down. Things are moving fast. Hold on tight and you will last. Oh, keep your self-respect. You are very bright. Get yourself in gear. Keep your stride. Never mind your fears, 'cause brighter days will soon be here. Oh, take it from me, someday we'll all be free. Yeah. Keep on walking tall. Hold your head up high. Lay your dreams right up to the sky. Sing your greatest song, and you'll keep going on. Oh, take it from me, someday we'll all be free. Take it from me, someday we'll all be free.
Good morning, Cityside. Good morning, live streamers. I feel like we should all take a breath. Does anyone feel like we're getting barraged by information right now? Let's just all take a breath. Let's just let go of the week, right? Let's get some spiritual reality going here, not the virtual reality we live in or whatever you call that. So, Anita Morjani, does anyone know who she is? Wrote an amazing book, Dying to Be Me. She was literally on her deathbed, and she was in a coma, and she had tried every kind of medicine that she could find. She had been to gurus, she had been to healers, she tried Eastern medicine, she tried Western medicine, but her body was still riddled with tumors, and her family was told that she was not going to make it. And while she was in this state, she said she had an experience of another dimension in which she came to understand the truth of her being and the reason and purpose of her life. And she was given a choice whether to come back or not. And she decided to come back. And the one thing I want to say about her experience is she had a visceral knowing of spirit. She had a embodied experience of spirit. That's what I would call it in that moment. And it's very easy in our teaching to be up in your head, like, oh, thinking. But the real experience of spirit is a visceral experience. It's a gnosis. And so she had this gnosis, and she returned to her life, and within 2 weeks, her body was restored to its natural state. All the tumors were gone. And what she said she realized in this experience is that she had been hard on herself her entire life. And even though she had gone to all these healers, all these doctors, no one had talked to her about her relationship with herself, her self-love, her self-value, her self-respect, her self-acceptance. And she said that once she had this experience, she realized that she did deserve to heal, but she didn't know that before that. As she had been going through the process of this being sick, she was raised in a belief system that said that illness was karma, right? It was past karma. And she said she realized that wasn't true, that her illness wasn't past karma. And she realized that she deserved to be healed, and that sickness is an unexpressed energy or potential of yourself seeking an outlet. And I love the last thing she said. She realized that God isn't a being, just to make sure I said that right. God is a beingness, which is exactly what we teach here. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about a state of being, a consciousness that heals. Or we might want to say that allows us to heal. Her realization allowed her to heal. And we are not the healer. The consciousness is the healer. So the nature of life is God, spirit. Pick whatever word you want to pick. You can say it. Ernest Holmes said it. But spirit is your very life. And it's not separate from you. But God is not experienced in words. God is experienced in a feeling, right? We spend a lot of time in words in our teaching, like speak the word, what's your thought, whatever. But God is actually experienced in the feeling. And while our mental focus can support our healing, and I'll call it a cooperative component, I like to refer to it that way, the consciousness that heals is a knowing, an experience that God is the only reality. So I'm going to set aside the healing conversation for a minute, and I want to talk about spirit. I want to talk about spiritual principle, this idea that there is no experience here but God. Kind of hard to know that in the world right now, isn't it? But even if I am or you are manifesting things differently than what we would say we want or how we think it should be, the only experience that is ever happening is spirit unfolding. God is not a being. God is beingness. That beingness is the nature of God. That beingness is the nature of your life, your spirit that got infused with your breath when you were born, which is eternal. It's not separate from you. We can think it's separate because we feel separate, right? Especially when we're up in our head, we feel separate. But it's not the truth. And I was thinking about the Christian faith when I was preparing this, because that's the faith that I grew up in, and this idea of being saved. And I don't think Jesus actually talked about being saved, by the way. He wasn't starting a religion or anything like that. He was just trying to teach people a different relationship with the spirit of their own being. But he knew that everyone and everything was an expression of spirit. That's what he knew. He saw people in their wholeness. He didn't see what was missing. He saw their wholeness. If someone was sick, he saw them in their wholeness. And he didn't see things as a yardstick. Like, sometimes we think of there's this yardstick. We grew up with this idea, I'm either good enough or I'm not good enough, right? It's a yardstick. But God doesn't actually have a yardstick, because everyone and everything is part of spirit. It couldn't be different than that. So how I like to think about the experience of Jesus is that he had an experience of the wholeness of life. He saw this wholeness in others. He knew that whatever their physical manifestation was, that who they really were, their true nature was spirit. And we come to life to experience. That's why we come into the physical world of form. Some people say it's a school. I don't know. Who knows? We want to know why for everyone, but we definitely come here to experience, right? We're having this experience of being human. And Jesus said, I have come here that you might have life and have it more abundantly. You could say, I've come so that you might experience the nature of wholeness. I'm just pointing the way to this nature of wholeness, which is the truth, right? And that truth doesn't come from another human being. That truth is already inside of you. It's not given to you by someone else's authority. You already have it, right? And I want to talk a little bit about faith, because so many people say, I'm struggling to have faith. I hear that all the time. What does faith even mean? What do we mean when we say faith? Jesus said, faith is the conviction of things unseen. Things unseen. We might say things beyond the material world. Might be another way that we might want to say that. The nature of life beyond what we can see in the material world, the eternal nature of life. Life is eternal. You're a spirit before you even come into this body, and you're going to be a spirit when you leave this body. We just lay our body down when it's time, because our body's tired or we need a new one or whatever. We don't know. But your spirit is eternal. Your nature is eternal. Who you really are is eternal. It cannot be born and it doesn't die. The experience of being born and dying, it's a human experience. But regardless of the experience you are having in the world of form, you are eternal, and your worth, your wholeness is not in question. Even if someone else is questioning it, by the way, no one else determines your wholeness or your worth. So what does the dictionary say about faith? Complete trust or confidence in someone or something. And I want to create a little distinction here. Faith in versus faith of. So we might change the word to trust, because I actually think that faith is about trust. And when people say they don't have faith, it means they're not trusting. Isn't that what it means? I think that's what it means to me. When I say I don't have faith, I'm having a hard time trusting. My mind is skeptical right now. I'm believing my mind and not the spiritual truth. So faith of God as opposed to faith in God. Faith of God, trust of God, is to know that God shows up consistently. It's not like the white dude on the throne jumping in to save our ass, right? But it's this principle that we teach here, that things come into form through the law. And if you're a scientist, we were talking about this in class the other night about how our scientific mind wants to fight it. It's quantum physics, right? There's an idea that comes outside of the world of form, and then the possibility manifests into form. It is not inconsistent. Spirit works the same way. The divine manifests into form. You know, sometimes it's manifesting as us, right? It's manifesting as everything, but that is the divine manifesting in form. And how do we know the law works? Think about a seed, okay? You plant a seed. Usually a seed grows. They don't all grow, right? Especially if you're not good with stuff like that. Like me, I could kill any plant. But I plant a seed and it comes into form and it grows. That is how spirit manifests in the world. You see that in the ideas, like, oh, I have an idea, I'm going to manifest that in form. But it's also true with your body. It's true with everything that's created, right? It is not separate from it. It is an outpicturing in the world. And Michael Beckwith calls this beingness that we're talking about a presence that is never an absence. I love that, a presence that is never an absence, because many of us were taught that the presence is there when we're good, and when we're not measuring up on that measuring stick, that presence goes away. That's just hogwash. It's a presence which is never an absence. And often, we're the one who's absent, though. We're the one who doesn't see the presence of spirit because things aren't showing up the way that we think that they should, right? Anyone relate to that besides me? We're the one who's absent. We're not seeing what is there because we think it should be different than what it is. So we come into the world of form to experience life on earth. Sometimes that means we have an illness. Sometimes that means we have a disappointment. Sometimes it means we have a heartbreak. It's part of the journey, but like our human self wants to say, nope, not that, not that, not that, right? Mine does. I don't know about anybody else. But what happens when we're in that nope, not that place? We're creating a vibration of fear. We're drawing to us from our fear, so we don't want to be in that place. And that's why we need each other. Have you ever had an experience where like you were just gripped with something, a fear of something? Yeah, I think we've all had that experience, and that is when we need each other, because sometimes we just can't know the truth for ourselves because we've become gripped by the fear or the sadness or the disappointment. But that's a great time to get some prayer. That's a great time to be in community, to call a friend who you know is going to lift you up, because we do need each other sometimes to remind us of the truth when we forget. We need someone to pray for us. But the truth is that we're eternal, and that's what's going to have the final word. And if you knew that your nature is the eternal nature of life itself, you're the spirit itself, then you would know that there's not a race that you're running right now. We went to Daryl's father's funeral the other day. Tiffany and Sis were also there. And Reverend Robert E., that's what he went by, Robert E. Jones. He was a total badass, this guy. This guy was a spiritual warrior. Like the stories people were telling about him were amazing. But he was someone who kept fighting the good fight. That's what people were talking about with him. And he demonstrated his faith by just continuing to keep going in spite of the illness. Someone said they heard him singing like some song, and they're like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm singing through my pain. But he knew that the outcome was assured. He knew that his spirit was eternal, and he was just trusting spirit to let this evolve for him. He kept on keeping on, as they say. And that's really the call for us, is to have this consciousness of trust that our spirit is eternal, regardless of the experience that we're having in our body. That God is going to reveal its nature to us. Sometimes it looks different than we think it will, but that the right and perfect healing for us will come forth. And sometimes that healing is physical, and sometimes it's a different kind of healing. I remember years ago, Sherry Coons. Does anyone know Sherry Coons? She's an amazing woman. She is a practitioner, and she does work in prison with young people to help them see a different way of life. And she was talking about a friend of hers, and who was at the peak of his career. He had just landed a gig on some big show. Do you know who I'm talking about? And he got cancer, and he said, I realized my body's not going to heal, but I had a different realization by this illness, that I am loved and that it's all about love. And he said, so I did get healed, even though my body didn't heal. And I loved that story, because I think we don't know what things are for. You know, we don't know why things happen the way they happen. We can drive ourselves crazy asking why. It's not helpful. Like, things are what they are. If we can accept that, then we can move through them and see what is there for us. And I think life gives us contrast so that we can realize, you know, sometimes we have an experience of love. Sometimes we have an experience of not love. Sometimes we have health. Sometimes we have not health, right? We have different experiences. But I think that life gives this to us to help us have an appreciation for what is present, right? Every experience gives us an appreciation for the spirit that is present. So I want to talk a little bit about how we normally approach healing, okay? We usually approach healing as if the illness is an entity unto itself, don't we? You know, we might say, I have cancer, I am sick, whatever. We treat it like an entity. And I know I myself had a cancer scare like 10, 12 years ago, and one of my friends just kept saying to me, this is not a thing. It's not a thing, right? It's not an entity. And if we could simply know that the things that are happening to us, whether it's physical or whatever, it's not an entity. It's not something that's happening outside of God. It's happening in God. And we're taught as practitioners, and we're all practitioners, by the way, because we're all practicing this stuff. It doesn't matter if you have the stripe or not. But we're taught not to pray about the condition. So if someone comes to us and they have cancer, we're not really supposed to pray that they be free from cancer. We're supposed to pray that they have the right and perfect healing. We're supposed to pray that the divine blueprint of health be restored to their body, that they recognize their wholeness. Because if we're praying about cancer, we're treating it like an entity outside of God. And we all have cells in our body that aren't perfect. It's just sometimes they take root because we have immunity down for some reason, right? So it's not a thing. It's not an entity unto itself. And that's hard to get your head around, I know, because we're all living this like fear-based culture. But, you know, nothing that is happening is outside of God. Joel Goldsmith, who Gordon read from, and you did a great job, by the way, said, we're not concerned with the so-called patient, the claim, the cause of illness, or its nature. We are concerned only with the truth of being, the truth of God, man, idea, body. The activity of this truth in our consciousness is the healing influence. Healings are always in proportion to our understanding of the truth about God, man, idea, body. I'm going to change it to the word awareness. Awareness of God. Healings are always in proportion to our awareness of the nature of God, Spirit, the presence of Spirit, the inherent wholeness which we already are, which everyone already is. So our work, all of us as practitioners, is to have a realization of Spirit as the power and presence of God, the eternal nature, the ultimate authority, the ultimate creator, the ultimate source of all things, all healing, all wholeness. It's not outside of God. And when someone speaks the word for someone else, they're really treating they're treating their own consciousness about the person. They're seeing the person in their wholeness, right? They're treating their own consciousness. We might say they're creating the energy in which the healing can happen, but the healing does not come from them. It comes from Spirit. You know, so it's not our job to try to fix someone else because nobody's broken. Right? We're just praying for a realization of the wholeness that they are. So I want to talk for a second about coronavirus. It's not an entity that is here to destroy us, by the way. But how we hold this spiritually, because our teaching, you know, came out of Christian Science, which is pretty metaphysical hammer, right? But Mary Baker Eddy started that, and then Emma Curtis Hopkins carried that on, and she's the one who taught everybody, Emma. Here in Chicago, 12,000 people. And, you know, we can think that because we follow this teaching that we don't need to honor science, right? And I don't know what the right answer is, but if God created science, why wouldn't I take advantage of it if I feel called to, right? It's not separate, it's in God too. So what we're going to do as a community is we're going to practice appropriate physical precautions while knowing this spiritually. That's why we're elbow bumping instead of hugging and washing our hands, and we cleaned the bathroom. Lucy and I cleaned the bathroom because it's never clean if you've ever been here before. Isn't it true? So it's now clean forever. It's clean forever. We are knowing the opposite, thank you. But, I mean, you've all read about this online. We want to wash our hands. We want to be careful about physical contact. Cover your mouth if you're coughing. We know all of these things. We're going to try to suspend unnecessary physical contact right now as a community, only in respect. I personally don't expect to get sick. And the way that I hold it for myself is just to say, like, I want to be respectful of the impact that I have on someone else. So we canceled a trip out of the country just to be cautious, right? I mean, doesn't mean I think I'm going to get sick. So, but we really want to hold this spiritually as not giving it our fear, right? Let's not give our fear to it. If you read about it, and I've read a ton about it, not everyone gets super sick. People whose immune system is done, it's more like the flu in people who are otherwise healthy. It can take hold in the lungs for people who already have an autoimmune issue. And so what I would say to everyone is, let's not give in to our fear, but let's also super take care of ourselves right now. If you don't feel good, stay home. Make it okay to stay home. You can connect with us on the live stream. That's what a few people are doing this morning. And just be aware of how you're feeling physically. Take extra good care of yourself. If you're tired, rest, right? We drive ourselves into the ground these days as a culture. And just honor your body. Honor what your body is telling you. And don't give in to the fear. So spiritually, our role is to hold the consciousness of wholeness. How do we do that? We do that through prayer. So we are going to be offering prayer after service. I'm not sure where it's going to be today, probably the back of the room. You can also go on the CSL website. There's a World Ministry of Prayer. There's meditations out there. You can write a treatment. You can ask for a treatment. You can sit quietly and hold in meditation every day. Just hold your wholeness. There's a lot of great meditations out there you can get for free as well. Or you can just take time. Just take time to go more slowly. Take time to be in nature. Remind yourself, wholeness is the truth of who I am. Right where I am, God is, and all is already well, right? Just don't give in to your fear. Coach your brain, because we know that God will have the final word on all of this, right? We want to stay in a high consciousness. This is going to pass. It's going to pass. And so we want to hold that. I think about one of my favorite stories in the Centers for Spiritual Living world is about Peggy Bassett, who I've told this story before, so some of you have heard it. But Reverend Dr. Peggy Bassett developed ALS. And someone in her community came up to her and said, "What was in your consciousness that caused you to get this?" Metaphysical hammer, right? And you know what she said? She said, "My God wanted me to have this experience," roughly, and I'm going to embrace it. I don't have her exact words, but that she really accepted that this was part of her journey. And so we just want to not make anything that happens wrong, but we want to know the truth that our wholeness is not in question. And, we don't want to judge our own experience. If you do get sick, don't judge yourself for it. Just take care of yourself. Go to the doctor. I was thinking about just life when I was preparing, and how often in life we judge ourselves. Like when we mess things up, we can change that into "I messed up," right? Instead of saying like, "Oh, I made a mistake." We can turn it into "I'm a mistake," right? And so we just want to be really loving and gentle with ourselves. We're never messed up spiritually. We're always whole. Nobody can mess with, I almost said F with, your eternal nature. And we do this through our spiritual practice. That's why we practice. That is why we come together in community. to practice, to release our resistance to what is, to embrace the wholeness. And so often we pretend that we're surrendered, right? But we're not really. And so that's also our work, is just to surrender and trust. Jesus said, your faith has made you whole. Faith is a conviction of things unseen. And so faith, trust, our other word for faith, trust. And so our whole life spiritually is about having a deeper realization of this truth, that spirit is our life, and that the things that we encounter are for us, so that we can have a deeper realization of the true nature of life. That's the reason for this journey. And so, as Reverend Robert inspired us to do, what we need to do is keep on keeping on, keep the faith, trust this inherent wholeness, and celebrate and cultivate the consciousness which heals within yourself. The beingness of spirit, which is your beingness. So we're going to take this now. Hey, Tiffin Woods, his new nickname, Woods. Tiffany calls him that. We're going to take this into a little short mini meditation and prayer just to connect to that place of wholeness within you. Oh, and so it's so good to know the wholeness that is at the center of our being right now, this beingness that is spirit, this beingness that is my life, that is the life of every single person in this room, every person on the live stream, every person in the world, this beingness, this wholeness, this one eternal life, this inner wholeness of spirit. And so from this place of knowing that we are always present with spirit, that spirit is never absent, I call forth a healing. Whatever healing you need this morning, I'm just claiming that and calling it forth for you. Physical, emotional, energetic, whatever the healing is that you want to call forth in your consciousness, whether it is self-love, self-acceptance, I just claim and know that that is the truth. That there is no other truth but your wholeness right where you are right now. And I just invite you to repeat after me right now, right where I am.
Right where I am.
God is.
God is.
And all is well.
And all is well.
Wholeness is the truth of my being.
Wholeness is the truth of my being.
I am surrounded by this healing power and presence everywhere and always.
I'm surrounded by this healing power everywhere and always.
All is well.
All is well. I am whole. All is well. I am whole. My life is truth. My love is. God is where I am. I am whole. I am true.
And so I'm so grateful for this truth that all is well. All is wholeness. We are all already whole. I'm grateful for this. We are all living and moving and having our being in the healing power and presence of spirit. And we simply allow that. We allow that to infuse our beingness, this deep, eternal knowing of God as the true nature of our lives. I'm so grateful to know this, and I'm so grateful to know that God's got this. All is well. I know that this outpicturing in the world of what is illness. It's not a thing. I just see the world being healed. I see this virus going away. It's not a thing. I am knowing and declaring wholeness, health, and healing for all, especially those who are currently impacted. I'm just knowing that that's not the spiritual truth of their being. And I know and claim wholeness and wellness and perfect health for them. And I just know that they are held in the arms of Spirit. They're surrounded in the light and love of God, the presence of God, the power of God. I'm so grateful to know this truth. And together we say, and so it is.
So it is. Thank you, Reverend Aimee.
Oh, my word. How wonderful. That was fantastic. So, it's our time to, after having been so thoroughly spiritually fed, to share our gifts and offerings. And I just invite you to take a moment and look around and take stock of what you've created. The power of your consciousness bringing forward this community, this speaker, this wisdom. This is your consciousness in action. And so I just invite you to, if this is your week to give financially, I just invite you to hold your gift and to prepare it for sharing with this community. We always share an affirmation, and I really want us to hold that in consciousness as we prepare these gifts. It's on the flyer. And words have power, right? I said that before. I mean, Tiffany knows this. She's been sharing her power with us in such a beautiful way. Thank you. So I just invite you to share the words on the flyer in this moment as you hold your gift. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. If you're giving by text, you can text the word give to 312-757-8111. You can give online at cityside.me. You can also give to the basket that's passed.
Will my heart and soul say yes? Will your spirit still say yes? There is more that I require of thee. Will your heart and soul say yes?
I say yes to this beautiful community and these beautiful gifts. Thank you so much for sharing your heart and your financial contributions. And I'm going to turn it over now for our announcements to the one and only, the awesome, this wonderful, wonderful friend of the communities and stepping into leadership in a beautiful way, Eric Todd Rushing.
It's quite nice of you. Well, good morning. I'm Eric Rushing, and I'm Eric Todd Rushing. Wow, that came out wrong. I serve as Sunday director here at Cityside. If you are here for the first time, we want to welcome you. Thank you for blessing us with your presence. Stop by the welcome table, fill out one of these cards. We would love to stay connected with you. If you've been coming for a while and you're not on our mailing list, if you want to get on the mailing list, you can fill out one of these cards as well. Next week, we continue our theme, Inner Wholeness, the Healing Power in You, with Reverend Darrell and Dr. Carrie Jacobson. Afterwards, they will be offering a wellness workshop. And then on the 22nd, Linda Jackson is here speaking and giving a workshop called Transforming Limiting Beliefs. And to close the month, Angie Hosley returns. If you have more questions about these workshops, you want some more information, you can go to our events page on the website where you will also find anything that has a sign up. You can find it on the events page on our website. And then today, stick around at 12 o'clock, Russ will be offering a workshop called A Noble Purpose, and he's going to say a few words about that.
Thank you. So, my noble purpose is to help people like you all to engage with life, to live compassionately, and to experience unconditional love. And I'm bringing that forth today in the form of this workshop called Discover Your Noble Purpose. And what this workshop is really about, actually, I think Aimee's talk could not have set me up better, because this workshop ultimately is about getting you started on the journey of rediscovering what's called your essential self. And that's that part of us that Aimee was talking about that already is whole, that already is love, that already is all of these amazing God qualities. We just tend to forget about it, because as Ernest Holmes called it, our bloated nothingness gets in the way. So please join me for this. Logistically speaking, we're beginning right at 12 o'clock, simply because this thing is jam-packed with all kinds of fun stuff for us to do. I want to make sure that we've got enough time for it all. It is free. We will not say no if you choose to give us money, though. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Also, I'm really grateful if you do choose to join me, because this is helping me to write a 10-page paper at the end of next week that will be one of my last classes. So thank you so much. I hope to see you there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'll turn it back over to E.T.
Thank you, Russ. We want to thank our team that helped set up for today: AJ, Georgia, Jerry, Keith, Judy, Gordon, John, and Lucy. If you want to get to know some people in the community, joining the welcome team or the setup team is a great way to do that. Talk to me and I can get you connected. And then before I talk about prayer, your message today, it made me think about, there are a lot of people in the world who don't have someone to pray for them. And we all know what it is. It's nothing to us to be like, I need prayer. So for people who I know to be a praying community, when you pray this week, pray for those who are taking care of others, who may not have someone to pray for them. And don't leave with anything heavy on your heart today. In the prayer corner back there, the practitioners will be offering prayer. You can also fill out a written request that the practitioners will pray over for a few weeks. And we want you to all to stick around, get to know one another, laugh, have a good time. And if you would just transition that into the hospitality hallway, we will make a sacred space for prayer in here, as well as get ready for the workshop at 12 o'clock. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eric Todd. And by the way, if you have the chance to get close to him, his eyes look fabulous with this blue short. They're glowing. They're radiating. All right, everyone, it's that time. Go ahead and stand. It's that time to stretch your body. Do a little dance. Shake it out. Do the walk. Some of you are like, the what? All right. You can clap. You can get into it. Get that communal vibration. Your love is lifting me higher than I've ever been lifted before. So keep it up. Quench my desire. And I'll be at your side forevermore. Come on, sing. You know your love keeps lifting me, keeps on lifting me higher and higher, higher. Your love keeps lifting me, keeps on lifting me higher and higher. Now I was downhearted. Disappointment was my closest friend. But then you came in, soon it departed. And you know it never showed his face again. Come on, I know your love keeps lifting me, keeps on lifting me higher and higher and higher. Your love keeps lifting me, what? Keeps on lifting me higher and higher. I'm so glad I have finally found you. Yes, that one, the God in me. And I throw my loving arms around you, 'cause I can stand up and face the world, you see. Come on now. I said your love keeps lifting me. What? Keeps on lifting me, lifting me higher and higher, higher. Your love keeps lifting me, keeps on lifting me, lifting me higher and higher. Sing along, Cityside, what? Your love keeps lifting me, keeps on lifting me, lifting me higher and higher. Hey, your love keeps lifting me, what? Keeps on lifting me higher and higher. Have a beautiful Sunday. Get out there, go for a walk, breathe in the fresh air, and take in the sunshine, everybody. After Russ's workshop, of course. Or just sneak out really quick and come back.